Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's good to have you here with us at Somaliland National Television. I'm Mohammed Aden here with the English news. Let's take a look at the main stories making headlines. President Ahmed Silani received the Italian ambassador to Somaliland. ISIL posted video of the beheading of second Japanese hostage Kenji Gota. President of Somaliland, Ahmed Mohamed Mohamed Silani, received the Italian ambassador to Somaliland and Somalia at his office. The Italian ambassador held a meeting with the president at the presidential palace to discuss the diplomatic ties between the governments of Italy and Somaliland. The meeting was also focused on strengthening bilateral relations on key issues, as well as the joint development efforts at taking forward the diplomatic and social interests of the two nations. Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs for Somaliland, speaking at a joint press conference held at the Presidential Palace, and discussed the issues focused during the meeting held between the President and the Italian ambassador. The Italian ambassador, also speaking at the joint press conference, stated,
My first visit to Somaliland, so I'm very glad to be here. I've had productive discussions with the Somaliland administration, and I think bilateral relation.
The President of Somaliland, Ahmed Mohamed Mohamed Silani, unveiled a project that constructed hundreds of new houses for the less fortunate people in the southern suburbs of Hargeisa. The President, accompanied by members of cabinet, attended an event held in the southern suburbs of Hargeisa, in which the construction of 350 new houses has been completed. These new houses have been constructed to accommodate hundreds of families residing in the south of the capital city, Hargeisa. The President, speaking at the event, reiterated the government's efforts at ensuring social progress and pledged that the government will do more to serve the needs of Somaliland citizens. Members of cabinet, also speaking at the event, highlighted that the ongoing efforts are sought to ensure more social and economic progress. The Italian ambassador to Somaliland and Somalia, Fabrizio Marcello, on a visit to Hargeisa, attended a conference held at the University of Hargeisa, organized by the Center for Conflict Studies. The event had in attendance several governmental and non-governmental officials. The Dean of the University Department for Peace and Conflict Resolution, speaking at the conference, reiterated the necessity of maintaining peace by resolving conflicts, and the role the University Department plays in educating people about the conflict resolve. Andrew, who is from a university in Italy, spoke about issues regarding international peacekeeping efforts, as well as the necessity of resolving conflict among the world populations. The Italian ambassador to Somaliland and Somalia highlighted the underlying necessity of preserving peace, as well as studying peace and development for the greater good of the world. The President of Hargeisa University, Abdi Gas, reiterated the significant role that the University Department for Peace and Conflict Resolution plays in taking forward the knowledge of local intellectuals. Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Maulid Mohammed Ibrahim, also speaking at the event, stated that Somaliland, as a beacon of peace for the post-conflict nations, made significant efforts in ensuring the presence of civilian component of peace-building efforts, and thereby made tremendous sacrifices for the nation to ensure continuous peace and social progress. Other keynote speakers at the event highlighted that Somaliland can serve as a symbol of peace and development for other post-conflict nations. Garodi Women Association laid the foundation stone for a new project aimed at building a new school for the Islamic studies.
Representative of Garodi Women Developmental Association in Hargeisa spoke about the importance of establishing schools for Islamic studies in the capital city and the significance of these studies to our children. Representative of the association in Riyadh pointed out on the need for more schools like this one to provide our future generations with the necessary knowledge about the religion. She also expressed her joyfulness for the commencement of this construction. Sheikh Abdurrahman Muhammad praised the dedication of Garodi Association to raise funds for the construction of this school, where he also highlighted their achievements and all of the developmental projects implemented inside the capital city, Hargeisa. In conclusion, representative of Garodi Association in Australia urged the people of Somaliland inside the country and abroad to contribute to the construction of this school and take part of the developmental process in Somaliland.
You're still watching the English news program on Somaliland National Television, the first Somali-speaking channel within English news, and now for the main international headlines in detail. A video has been posted online purporting to show the beheading of Japanese hostage Kenji Goto by ISIL militants. Mr. Goto, a journalist and filmmaker, went to Syria last October in an attempt to secure the release of his compatriot Haruna Yakua.
He failed in his attempt and Mr. Yakua was murdered last week. The film follows the same dreadful pattern of the other gruesome videos, with a black-clad man with a British accent decapitating the 47-year-old. The US, Britain and France have expressed their outrage at events. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said his country would not succumb to terrorism and continue to expand its food, medical and humanitarian aid program. Japan has vowed to work with the international community to bring the killers to justice. Meanwhile, the fate and the whereabouts of the Jordanian pilot held hostage by the ISIL militants remains unknown.
The Ukrainian government has announced an evacuation program for civilians living in and around the town of Debaltseve. The important railway transport hub is a scene of heavy fighting between the Ukrainian army and separatist forces.
Around 20,000 people have been trapped in the crossfire and shelling, and the casualties continue to mount. In Kiev, Ukraine's Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk announced the evacuation plan. There are now a total of 6 buses involved. They are constantly under fire. When they see that we are getting people out, they start shelling. Fortunately, no one has been injured yet. Volunteers from the capital are traveling to Debaltseve to assist in the operation. On Friday, the United Nations voiced concern about the deteriorating humanitarian situation in the town.
That's it for this edition of our news. Here is a recap of our main top stories at the moment. President of Somaliland, Ahmed Silani, unveiled a new developmental project in which hundreds of new houses were built for the less fortunate people. Meanwhile, the president met the Italian ambassador to Somaliland and Somalia at the presidential palace. Kiev began evacuation of civilians from the under-fire town of Debaltseve. Thank you for watching. Be sure to catch us at the same time tomorrow. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.